We all know in today's college football landscape, perception is not everything, but it is fairly important. The Oregon Duck fan base is calling for a big blowout against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Are they potentially setting themselves up for a bit of a backfire?
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your top stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Aldeo State. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more because football season is around the corner. Make sure that you visit FanDuel's app today and start planning your future bets. And now, get with the best in the biz for your betting, which is FanDuel. I think I have a fun little treat for this one. Instead of me going on Oregon stuff or being on here hooting and hollering about Oregon, I'm going to bring on a former Oregon Duck, Coach Austin Dunham. Welcome to the program, sir. How are we feeling today?
What's going on, Cody? Thanks for having me. This will be a good time.
Absolutely. So it's Tuesday, and there already seems to be some animosity building. We could talk about NIL. We could talk about Lanning and Gundy, but I want to talk about the angle from the fan base. I'm going to be honest with you, Coach Dunham, I had no clue that the Oregon fan base was this Charmin, squishy, soft. I don't know what is happening right now, all right? But it's not a crazy concept that Oregon spends a lot of money on NIL. My question to you is, with all of this, this is stupid, and Mike Gundy should have never opened his mouth, and now Oklahoma State's going to get absolutely ran out of the building. Are Oregon fans setting themselves up for a negative perception? Because you keep hooting and hollering about all of this runaway with a blowout, and it doesn't happen, it could kind of change the perception. What say you, sir?
I mean, we all know that Oregon spends money. It's not a surprise. If you've ever been to Eugene and walk around, it looks like a spaceship. Everybody at College Game Day said it. I think Ohio State fans, when they went out there last year, they were like, "Oh, okay, this is different." Right. Oregon spends money. It's not a secret. Anybody who says otherwise, kick rocks. Okay, we spend money, and that's not a slight. I do think yesterday's whole ordeal was not so much Gundy being like, "Oh, woe is us, woe is me."
Right.
We're going to go up there and get our ass kicked because they spend money. I think it was more a call to the Oklahoma State fan base to say, like, hey, this weekend, if we go up there and they kick our keisters, we might want to start, investing in our NIL collectives and getting money. I looked at it from that perspective. Originally, I was like, what is he doing? But then if you know Mike Gundy from the past, he's not scared to be like, hey, we need to figure this out. Yeah. And I think that that's the perspective that he was coming from, not so much like, look at how much money they're spending. They spent $40 million on Dante Moore. It's like, okay, all right, the numbers are inflated, sure. But I think Oregon fans, from our perspective, is like, we get a 5-star commit and everybody's like, oh, he's just going for the money. But if Ohio State gets a 5-star commit, it's like, oh, he's going for the tradition and he's going for the facilities and for the education. It's like, no, he's still going for the money. Okay. It's not in a young man's game. If you're 18 years old and somebody says, hey, here's $3.5 million. The answer is yes. Where, when, how can I get there? Please and thank you.
That's actually a very good point and angle to take, because I think you're dead on. There's obviously a little bit of gamesmanship that always goes into a game, right? And you hear that in some of the coach speak. But if you listen to the press conference, all he was doing was talking glowingly about how Oregon has a great staff, and they have a great team, and they have a good scheme, and they're good at tackling, and they spend a lot of money. The fact that it's being overblown to this proportion is kind of wild to me, but I think you did nail some of it. Oklahoma State 2 years ago spent $2 million. Last year we spent $5 million. This year it's purported we're probably in the $13-15 million range. What we've spent in the last 3 years combined, Oregon spent last year alone, because last year it was reported Oregon spent $23 million. It could be a little bit more, but the baseline seems to be $23 million for Oregon's team last year, and that includes guys like Dylan Gabriel and James, obviously a very good running back that is no longer there. And if you spent $40 million this year, who cares? I don't know if it's true or not true, but what I do know is it's ridiculous for Oregon fans to be kind of upset about this, because let's call a spade, man. If Boone Pickens was still alive and kicking, Oklahoma State would be spending 25, 35 mil in football too.
No question.
If we had it, we'd
there's no
spend
question,
it.
right? Like Phil and Penny Knight are wonderful. They are great individuals, and they're willing to donate. There's more boosters than just the Knight family, of course. There's a lot more people that go into it. Like baseball side of things, people think PK Park is Phil Knight. No, it's Pat Kilkenny. Also very wealthy, very high up end donor, very nice individual. But like if we spend money, who cares, man? Like who cares? I think Nick Saban said it on game day. If you spend money on the wrong players, then you're shit out of luck, right? Like
100%, yeah.
that's what it is. I think it's about finding the right fit, the right guys for your culture and what you're trying to do. And I think that there's some coaches who are finding out right now that maybe if you don't have the right culture and the fit, then spending the money is irrelevant.
Right. Well, and it's going to be a fun case for Oklahoma State because this is the first year that we've ever ponied up in the NIL department in any meaningful capacity. But again, you're talking 13, 15 mil compared to a lot of schools in the country that do have the ability, or at least they did this year, to spend that 20 mil range. But even outside of all of the wild, wacky fan base getting a little up in arms, but do you see any validity to the statement of me saying that Oregon fans might be setting themselves up for failure? Because now if Oregon wins by 3 or 6 or 7, it's automatically going to be a disappointment because Oregon fans watched the UT Martin game, and now evidently Mike Gundy's ruffled some duck feathers to the point that they expect a massive blowout. Is Oregon better than Oklahoma State? Yes. Does Oregon have more talent than Oklahoma State? Yes. Should Oregon beat the Cowboys? Yes.
Yes.
But this idea that the Ducks are just going to absolutely dog walk the Cowboys the same way they did Montana State, I feel like Oregon fans are setting themselves up not only for themselves to be a little bit disappointed, but the national perspective. If Oregon fans and Oregon country is talking about beating Oklahoma State by 28, which is the money line right now, or 30 or 40 or whatever, and it doesn't happen, if that permeates to the national broadcast audience, that's something that's going to be mentioned, right? So instead of a win against Oklahoma State being a good Power 4 Big 12 W, it'll be viewed as a negative because of all the posturing at the moment. Do you see validity there, or am I just making a mountain out of a molehill?
Nah, I think we're making mountains out of molehills here. In college football, I mean, look, winning is winning. And whether Oregon wins by 50, whether they win by 10, whether they win by a field goal. I mean, last year we did it with Boise State. The first week was rough. It was ugly. It was gross. We won by a field goal, but winning is winning in this sport. Does the chirping back and forth make any difference? No, I just think it puts bulletin board material in either locker room. Like, who cares? As a fan base, we like to feed into it because we're like, oh, look at what Gundy said. And then, oh, look at what Lanning fired back with. And it's like, at the end of the day, who cares? Right? Like when Colorado came to our place and they had their practice and they looked around and they were like, man, this place is a dump and all this stuff. Dan Lanning certainly used that against them. And then they came out and they put 42 up before the half. So if you give Dan Lanning material, he's going to use it. He's used that in the past. If he's willing to go out in the media early on and kind of use it, it tells me he's really confident in his group and what he believes in. And I certainly think that Oregon has the athletes. This for me is kind of the Dante Moore prove it game. Like what are you capable of? I don't look at the UCLA stats and on his career at UCLA as like that's his ceiling. Like, no, I don't do that. I think there was some other things going on with Chip Kelly and whatnot, but for me, this is the Dante Moore. Hey, we're going to lean on you for some drives. You're going to have to throw the ball down the field. You're going to have to lead an offense. You're going to have to make some checks at the line. Fortunately, we're doing it at home and not down in Boone,
right?
Because that place can get rocking too. But I think that's the other half of it is Oklahoma State's coming up to Eugene, and a lot of people just think like, oh, Eugene, it holds 57,000 people. It's a 50,000 seat echo chamber. It is loud, obnoxious. I mean, I love last year the picture of the Ohio State fans plugging their ears on third down. Like, oh, it just gets you going. If you ever get a chance to go out there and experience a game, I highly recommend it. It's one of the special places in America. But I think we're making mountain out of molehills here. Like, who cares?
You could be right. And at the end of the season, it'll be a rearview mirror conversation. So from that aspect, I think you are. But I think in the present moment, I do think Oregon fans are kind of setting themselves up for a little bit of disappointment because now with all of the blustering back and forth, if Oregon doesn't win by 35, 45, 55 points, a lot of Oregon fans are going to be a little bit butthurt. So you talked a little bit about Dante Moore. It's almost like you know how to segue us around into this thing. So
I do have my own. I do know what I'm doing here.
let's talk a little bit more about Mr. Moore, the Mr. Moore at quarterback, because I don't think the two Moores are the same. But before we do that, I do have to remind the fine folks out here, it is your opportunity to capitalize, whether it be on home projects or if you're trying to get some work done. Supply House is the bee's knees for your needs. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is college football season, and you have to make sure that you're prepared for everything that comes up. And if you have a new repair, get your crew moving forward right now with Supply House. Order today and see the parts on your doorstep as early as tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items to choose from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects into the future, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side protected. If you need parts fast, Supply House has next-day delivery that is an absolute game changer for you. The part finder tools and the 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail is going to matter. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the process even smoother. So join for free the Trademaster program today and score serious perks like the priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free. Use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com, SHCollege5. Real people, real service with real savings for you and your business. Not so fast. It is time for you to get Rugiet ready, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be the king ding-ling in the bedroom, you got to get Rugiet ready today. We've all heard of Viagra. We've all heard of Cialis. There's probably some dudes out here that have tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the typical pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and also boost the blood flow. Unlike the typical pill that can take up to hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in about 15 minutes. The effects last up to 36 hours so you can stay confident, in control, and be the king of your bedroom when the time is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet meets the answer with over 150,000 dudes already making the switch. It might be time for you to do the same. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a ton of people feel more confident, more present in the moment. Head on over to RugietReady.com/LockedOnCollege. Use that code LockedOnCollege, all one word, to get 15% off today. That is Rugiet, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege, all one word, for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing reviews. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Be the king in the sheets that you've always wanted to be by getting Rugiet ready. All right, bro, Hamline. Now we get to switch gears a little bit here, too. You talked about this essentially being the Dante Moore Prove It game. And I think that is very applicable for a multitude of reasons because I watched Dakorian Moore. That dude looks like an All-American. That dude looks like a potential first-round all-conference performer at every level. But the other Moore throwing him the football, I still think is kind of suspect. I know you said you can't take what he did at UCLA as evidentiary proof of what he's going to be. And I think that is accurate because you can't take somebody's freshman year, no matter who they are, no matter how highly rated they are, as the end-all be-all of what their career is going to look like. But 1,600 yards, 11 TDs, 9 interceptions, not all bad as a true freshman. But I also, here's the caveat, buddy, I watched the Oregon spring game, and there was nothing I watched from the Oregon spring game that said, oh my, Dante Moore is going to be a problem. Oklahoma State better be ready for Dante Moore because he's about to pick us apart. I think that you guys have gotten a little bit too cozy with the idea of having top-notch quarterbacks. You went from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel to now Dante Moore. If there is a chink in the armor in the Oregon Ducks offense, I feel like it might actually be Dante Moore. What say you? Because you did kind of already allude to this being his prove-it moment.
See, I think the complete opposite. I
Or
think
will
that
hit me, Goose.
I think he's a first round talent. 6'3", he's 210 pounds. He has an absolute rocket on his right shoulder. That thing, if the ball jumps out of his hand, it's different. It spins. And you got to trust Will Stein and his ability to develop quarterbacks, right? We're going all the way back to high school Baker Mayfield. We come to Oregon, we get Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel evolves, right?
Yes.
And Dante Moore absolutely has that opportunity. If you watch his high school film, he can fit balls into tight windows that didn't exist. He didn't have
That's
to
why
do
he
that.
was a 5-star recruit
Right.
coming out of high school.
Right.
For sure.
And if you ask me, when he originally committed to Oregon, I was like, he's the best of the 5 stars in that crew. You had Arch Manning, you had Malachi Nelson, and now look, right? And so he's got the best arm, the biggest arm, and by far and away, he has the ability to throw the football down the field. He didn't have to do it against Montana State. He didn't have very tight windows, but he did what Will Stein asked him to do. If it's 5 yards at a time, great. If it's 2 yards at a time, great. If it's a check down, great. He went through multiple progressions 2 or 3 times in that game. Great. The drive before halftime, 53 seconds to go. They asked him to, hey, get us down there. And sure enough, 53 seconds drove the length of the field, no problem. Right. The one thing that I noticed in college football this week, I don't know if you noticed, the amount of wide receivers dropping the ball was insane. I saw more drops this weekend than I think I've ever seen in my entire career watching football. Oregon was susceptible to that. Kenyon Sadiq had a drop. I think Dakorian had a drop. Gary Bryant had a drop. And so I think that Dante Moore is special. I think he's a first round talent. I think by the end of this year, he's in the Heisman Trophy conversation. I'm going to go that far. I think he is that special. As far as Dakorian Moore, absolute dog. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
he's fast with the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker. He can run. He's got the video of him blocking 25 yards down the field. Looked like Michael Orr in The Blind Side taking the kid to the bus, man.
Yeah.
He was a dude, and I'm excited to see his freshman year develop. I think that he is the perfect player to take over Tez Johnson's spot. I was wondering who was going to take that role. Will Stein's offense has always operated really well when he has a slot receiver who's shifty and can move. And I think that Dakorian takes that spot perfectly. And then we have 2 homer hitters on the outside. So I think that this offense has a chance. But for me, this is the Dante Moore. Like, hey, here's some true power 4 players, some 3 and 4 star corners, some guys who have college experience on the back end. What are you going to do with it? And I'm excited to watch on Saturday.
See, I'm not that high on Dante Moore being a first round talent. He has all the intangibles. He has the size, the strength. He has adequate speed. He has very good zip on the ball. But I don't know, man. I guess I just need to be made a believer. Hopefully I'm not made a believer this Saturday. But at the same point in time, he's got the benefits of multiple NFL dudes on the offensive line, right? Yep. You got to give credit there. Mm-hmm. He's got not only Dakorian Moore on the outside, but Malik Benson is definitely serviceable. Yep. I think whenever you're talking about that, Sadiq is a first round dude, right? I think he's definitely got that kind of talent. I think Kyler Jasper coming over, 6'6" wide receiver, is somebody that can complement Dakorian Moore and win those 50-50 balls, be that red zone individual. So I do think that Dante Moore is surrounded by more than enough talent to cover up any inabilities he may have. But the rubber meets the road this Saturday. The one reason that I do think Oklahoma State has a fighting chance is because of the defensive line and the linebackers. I think our front 7 is going to do enough to make Dante Moore uncomfortable. And that's when I go back. When Dante Moore was uncomfortable in the spring game, he threw some dead ducks. When Dante Moore was uncomfortable at UCLA, it led to 9 picks. I'm not saying that he hasn't gotten over it. He very well may have, but Montana State wasn't going to test that capability. Oklahoma State has the guys like Wendell Gregory coming over from South Carolina. We have a returner in Jaleel Johnson. You also have Kyron Duhan coming over in the transfer portal. You got Chandavian Bradley coming over from Tennessee. We've got enough dudes in that front 7 to at least make things interesting. And I think if you speed things up enough for Dante Moore, he does have a propensity to turn the ball over. And that is the only area where I see Oklahoma State making some serious headway here. As I've said previously, I think we do lose this ball game, right? 34-21-ish has kind of been my most recent projection. So I'm not under any disillusionment of what kind of talent is rocking and rolling in Eugene, Oregon. But at the same point in time, man, I know how good Sadiq is and Moore is, and I like Benson, and I like Jasper, and I like what you have defensively. That Mateo Ugalele, whatever the flip his name is, that dude we're talking about first round NFL guys, he's definitely that dude. You have a lot of talent all over the field. I feel like if there is an area of susceptibility, if our defensive line can get the push, it's going to be that quarterback spot. So I'm intrigued to see how this whole thing plays out. Dante definitely has all of the intangibles. He has everything that you need to be a bona fide certified star. I haven't seen it yet, man. I just haven't seen it quite yet.
Another thing to take into consideration here, okay, is the maturity piece. How many 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids are willing to jump in the transfer portal and then go sit for a year underneath a Dylan Gabriel and watching Will Stein? And not to mention Novastad's been there for 3 years now. Like, you're talking about a mature kid who was like, hey, yeah, I'll sit. I need to sit and learn because what I did at UCLA wasn't it. I gotta figure this out. And so you have that aspect as well. He's comfortable. It's his offense. And overall, like, they have the weapons. Not to mention, we used 7 running backs last week. Yes. And all 7 of them could play again this week.
Yeah, that was actually interesting. I think Washington looked good, but I think most people outside of Eugene assumed that Mekhi Hughes was going to be the dude after his 1,400-yard season at Tulane. So the fact that he's even buried on the depth chart, I won't lie, that's a little bit scary. When you have somebody that talented go to Oregon and they're like, sorry, you might be number 2, but you might also be number 3. That's a scary proposition for us to deal with. And I'm not purporting otherwise. We know how good Oregon is. We know you have one of the best rosters in America by far. But we're looking for susceptibility angles, and I just feel like if the Cowboys can get pressure on Dante Moore, that could make life interesting for the Oregon Ducks. All right, so we're going to talk about some breakout players that might end up being household names when this whole thing is all said and done, or at least will be household names during the game on Saturday. But before we do that, I do have to remind the fine folks out here that we are not done giving our support to some ad sponsors. It is betting season. That means that it is time for you to get squared away today with FanDuel, the best in the biz when it comes to all of your betting needs, especially right now. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with another cannot-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your $5 bet is a winner, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use all across the app. It's going to make every game more exciting because of your investment level, whether you're watching your team or you're keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup or you know something wild is about to happen and you want to get in on the action. Do it today because it is super quick, easy, and it is the best way to add a little bit more energy to your weekend game. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com. Go there today to place your first $5 hauler, and if it's a winner, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets. With that extra money, you can utilize Game Time, but the beauty of Game Time tickets is you don't actually even need a whole lot of extra money. College football is also here. You can feel it in our loins. It's time to get excited with the tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing in life like it. But let's also be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself on the field sometimes. Whether it be endless waiting, hidden fees, prices jumping and going crazy at checkout, you have to use Game Time tickets, the app that gives you the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you'll pay. The app is made super simplistic so you can see exactly what your seat view is before you purchase. The best zone deals give you the section with the Game Time pick of the seat, and you save big. Take the guesswork today out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, Create that account, redeem that code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. It's simple. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today so you can experience the seamless transition in tickets. All right, broski, before we skedaddle on off of here, I asked you to give me a few players that Oklahoma State country, or even to some degree Oregon country, might not be aware of, that we are all going to know by the end of Saturday's football game.
All right. So obviously the big ones, Dante Moore, Dakorian Moore, we already talked about them, so I'm not going to count them.
Okay.
At the end of this game, we're going to know about Noah Winnington, fourth-year running back. He's fast, lanky, he's strong. He's Oregon's number one back in a backfield that will rotate between 3 and 4 guys potentially. Super exciting guy. He's super fast. He sat behind Bucky Irving at one point.
Okay.
And he's got all the intangibles you could ask for as a running back. He can run in between the tackles, and he can run outside. He can catch. So he can do all the things that you would look for in a running back. Number 2, the second one that Oklahoma State fans are going to get real comfy with is Omari Washington, the big nose tackle in the middle. He made Bruce Feldman's freaks list at like number 12, I want to say.
Okay.
Huge nose tackle. He's like 6'4", 340, but he's fast. He can jump out the gym, and he's strong like a bull, man. And that thing, as soon as that ball snapped, he's in somebody's lap somewhere, whether it's the center, whether it's a triple team, whether it's the quarterback. He's going to learn. He can be there. As soon as the ball snapped, he can be in the quarterback's lap, tackling both the quarterback and the running back if it's an option. So he's another one. And then on the outside, I think that we are going to learn about Mr. Kenyon Sadiq a little bit more. I think that this is going to be the Kenyon Sadiq look at me game. Not just, hey, let me catch this pass or let me get this handoff. This is going to be the Kenyon Sadiq I'm taking over game. Throw me the ball 100 times and watch me work. So I think he finishes the game with at least 8 touches and over 150 all-purpose yards. This is his, I'm a number 10, 15 draft pick. You want me in the middle of the first round. I'm an absolute freak. If you've watched any of his highlights before, he's in the Big Ten championship game, was his kind of coming out party. He sat behind Terrence Ferguson last year, who was a 4th-round pick to the Rams. And he sat behind him. And then the Big Ten championship game, he had 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. One of them was a hurdle that went for 15 yards. And then he caught another one in the corner of the end zone. And that was kind of Penn State's shell shock moment of like, oh, okay, this is for real. So I think that this is going to be his game to take over. I think he's going to show up in big moments on 3rd down. Will Stein likes to use the tight end on 3rd and short play, quick motion, and just a quick little 2-yard hitch, and he could take it to the house. He's the type of guy, anytime he touches the ball, he's a threat to take it to the house. He's that exciting of a player.
I agree. Obviously, Whittington's going to be a problem because if he's good enough to supplant Mekhi Hughes, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, yeah, whenever a defensive tackle that only plays a quarter and a half maybe is your leading tackler, that's a problem. Because defensive tackles typically don't get in on the fun, fancy, sexy stats. They typically don't. They're the guys that eat up the double teams and free up people in the back end to get all of the fun stats. So for a defensive tackle to get 5 tackles and then leave the game with 2 hours left, that's problematic for sure. And then Sadiq, Kenyon Sadiq's a cheat code. And I'll be honest with you, that's been one of my biggest concerns even before week 1, was because we do have all new linebackers. We have a decent number of new stand-up defensive end linebacker hybrids, and we have a couple new safeties. And if I'm Oregon, I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna test that. It doesn't matter if they came from the like Trip White coming from Ole Miss. It doesn't matter. If Chendavian Bradley comes over from Tennessee, doesn't matter. If I'm Oregon, I'm taking one of the best tight ends, if not the best tight end in all of college football, and I am using and abusing him until the linebacker core can figure out a way to stop him. And if we do magically have a way to stop him early, then you have a lot of other weapons to shift to. So makes a ton of sense there. And before we finally get on off of here, you being an Oregon Duck, you've obviously been in the facilities, you're part of the program. Cowboy baseball just stole Coach Blake Hawksworth. And I can tell you, man, Cowboy country is excited about it, right? Back-to-back seasons at Oregon with a 4.0 ERA. You and I both know that getting pitchers up there geographically, it's not easy, not the easiest thing in the world to do, right? Even to some degree in Colorado. The Bear, not the Bear, I can't speak English words today, thankfully. But I don't know, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, to get top-notch pitchers regionally from that area and turn them into what he did. So we're very excited, but you have an intimate knowledge of the program and of the pitching staff that developed under him over the last couple of seasons. What is Cowboy country looking at with Coach Hawksworth coming to Stillwater, Oklahoma?
I mean, you guys, you should be excited. He's a West Coast pitching guy through and through. He played for Rick Vanderhook at one point, who I got to talk with this summer. I was wearing my Oregon stuff. I coached down in California this summer, and we were coaching against his team, and I was wearing my stuff. And he was like, "Why are you still wearing all that shit? It's ugly. It's gross." And I was like, "Well, I got to have pride in the program I came from, right? I'm an alumni." And he goes, "Well, I got dominated." I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, we get it." And then he was like, "Well, who's going to be the new pitching coach?" And I was like, I jokingly said, "It may be me." And he was like, "Really?" I was like, "No." But then I asked him about Hawksworth and where he's from and all that stuff. Well, he's from Canada. So he has no allegiances anywhere in America. And so I was like, "So like, why do you leave?" Because Oregon baseball NIL is a thing. That's real. That exists. Baseball in the Northwest isn't bad. Oregon State has 3 national titles to their name based off of regionality and recruiting. Like, that's the thing. And Hookie hit me with, "Have you ever been to Okie State?" I was like, No, I haven't. He goes, "Well, if you did, you'd understand then." Yeah. So you guys are getting a good one. He's a really good developer with arms. He has a little bit of an Asian background as well, so the NIL thing plays a piece there too. And he's had some really good players come through his program, and he can recruit. And he's got ties to California, Nevada, to the Pacific Northwest now. So you guys should be excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Oregon baseball to see what we can become. We've been that program that's just kind of hanging around. There's another regional. We joined the Big Ten, and there's no excuse as to why we shouldn't win the Big Ten every year.
No.
Andy Stankiewicz at USC is going to do a hell of a job down there recruiting, though. He's done a really good job building that program up. And once their facilities are done, I could see USC making a run at that Big Ten title. But there's no reason that Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA can't push for a Big Ten title every single year, and they should dominate that conference. I mean, we won the regular season this year, didn't win the tournament, obviously lost to Nebraska in the final. And it is what it is. But Hawk's a good one, and you guys will, I think, be better for it in the long run. I know that this last year wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be, but the Big 12 is a tough baseball conference, especially with the recruiting in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. And now you can dip your toes into the Arizona waters as well with Arizona State and Arizona out there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite baseball conferences to watch by far and away. It's not even close. The SEC is fun, but the Big 12 is more fun in my opinion.
Well, Coach Dunham, I greatly appreciate your time on here, brother, man. And before we let you skedaddle off of here, do you have a general score prediction? And then I need you to plug everybody what you have going in the podcast country and how they can get a hold of you. Give me a prediction, and then we'll do the fun closing stuff.
I think Oregon does end up running away with this one in the second half. I think the first half is probably closer than people think, and I think the second half is when the legs and the depth will really show up. And I think Oregon generally doesn't put up 50 in games, but I think this is a type of game where they do put up 50, and I think it'll be like 55-24, kind of in that range. I think doesn't maybe not quite cover the 28-point spread, but I think that Oklahoma State does score. Flores looked fine last week. He threw for enough yardage. The receivers on the outside will pose enough problems. Oregon has a really young secondary, and I think there was some communication errors last week with Montana State. Slot guys gave them fits. So I think Oklahoma State does score at some point in this game, whether that's the first half, the first couple drives, but I ultimately think Oregon runs away, and I think I'll go 55-24.
Bro, if this defense gives up 50-plus mother trucking points, our defensive coordinator might as well jump out of the plane on the way home to Stillwater without a flipping parachute. That is, oh, man, that is
I know,
wild.
but I said the same thing when Oregon played Georgia 3 years ago in Bo Nix's first game. We gave up 49, and I was like, "What? This is what we got." Dan Lanning, are you kidding? He came from Georgia and he gets beat by 46 points. Sometimes things take time, and it's okay.
Well, buddy, let the fine folks out here know how they can track you down and see some of your work and out there in podcast country, and how they can see what you do on a daily basis, brother.
Yeah, so you guys can follow along with us at National Chumps Podcast. We're on YouTube and Spotify, 2 episodes a week, usually Sunday night or Saturday afternoon. Some point in there, we try to recap the weekend events. We put out gambling picks. And there's 3 of us. It's myself, Thomas Revering, and Justin Cruz. And we give out weekly picks. The loser has a punishment. This week was Justin had to eat mushrooms because it's his least favorite thing. He ended up throwing up on the podcast. Go check it out. It's pretty funny. He's also a huge SEC guy, and I hate the SEC. And so we always try to find a way to mix that into the podcast. You can find me on Twitter, Austin Dunham 2. Or A Dunham 2, and then Instagram is Austin Dunham 10, and then day job. I'm an educator. I work in a high school baseball coach. I do all the things. So I'm always looking to do podcast stuff. I find it fun and enjoyable. I've been in the college sports world for a long time. Worked at a couple of universities, and I'm here to just run my mouth and talk sports and all that fun stuff.
Well, I think that is a beautiful parting shot, brother, man. Again, thank you very much for your time. I did not know that Coach Cruz was an SEC fan, so I'll have to make sure to give him a hard time as much as physically possible as I see him. Well, I have to admit, at least we have another thing in common, and that is I can't handle all of the SEC constant propaganda being pushed up our wazoos.
They're just not that good.
Well, and the crazy part of it is, like, they're still doing all of this propaganda posturing 24/7. But I think the Big Ten's won the last 2 natties. So you would think that the SEC love fest would die down a little bit, but it is not.
When you're tied to the mothership, it's never going to go away.
Yeah, you nailed it. You got it. All right, buddy. Well, hey, I do greatly appreciate your time, and I can't wait to get linked up. Baseball season surely is going to be an exciting, at least a wild ride. So appreciate what you do. Keep kicking tail, taking names, doing all that fun stuff. For all of you fine folks out here, that's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there. Without you, none of this works, so I greatly appreciate what you do. Do me a favor, go do what you do. Hit the stars, leave some reviews. All righty, y'all. Later, my taters.